I'm Jennifer Phillips. Welcome to our second video as we take a look at the book Unlocking the Zohar by Rav Michael Lightman. I wanted to start out this video and just give you an idea of maybe a summary of where we are going and what our purpose is in understanding this second chapter. So I want to start out reading a verse out of Proverbs. I am reading from, the JPS Hebrew Tanakh. And this is Proverbs chapter 8. And it is speaking about wisdom personified. And starting at verse 22, wisdom is saying, "The Lord created me at the beginning of his course, at the first of his works of old. In the distant past I was fashioned, at the beginning of the origin of earth. There was still no deep when I was brought forth, no springs rich in water. Before the foundation of the mountains were sunk, before the hills I was born. He had not yet made earth and fields, or the world's first clumps of clay. I was there when he set the heavens in place and fixed the horizon upon the deep, when he made the heavens above firm and the fountains of the deep gushed forth. I was with him as a confidant, a source of delight every day, rejoicing before him at all times, rejoicing in his inhabited world and finding delight with mankind." And the reason I wanted to start off with those verses out of Proverbs in discussing wisdom is because what we are wanting to attain in the development of our spiritual life is wisdom. And we are told later again in the scriptures that we should desire wisdom and that we should seek knowledge and understanding. So I think going into this second chapter of the book, understanding that our purpose is that we want to be like our Creator. We want to have what is called equivalence of form with Him. And we have a basic problem from the beginning, and that is that we are created with a will to receive. That's how we are made. And the Creator made the entire world from a desire, and that was the desire to bestow, to give the utmost delight upon his creation, which is you and which is me. And so in order for us to understand how we are like our Creator and to become like our Creator, we're going to understand that we have to obtain the wisdom that our Creator has, so that we are creating the world that we are in with the same perspective and from the same source as the Creator does. If you recall, when we go into the very beginning of Bereshit in our Hebrew scriptures in Genesis, we read that man is made in the image of Elohim. And Elohim is the way that we understand in Hebrew God in nature. This is the name that we call God when we are referring to God within nature. And so the Hebrew word for nature is hateva, and it shares the same numerical value as Elohim, which is 86. Whenever we see a numerical equivalent in two Hebrew words, we know that there is an important connection to those words and something we need to understand. So we're going to learn from the organic world around us, from studying nature. We are going to understand something about the Creator and how the Creator makes everything to work. We have very organic system in nature. Every level of creation is made with the ability to give to other organisms for the betterment of the entire organism. And all of the lower levels of what we would call earthly desires, earthly physical development of a person is going to fall into these categories of development and understand how things are moved along. But at the end of all of these physical developments, there is going to arise the beginning, the seed of a spiritual desire. And so this is what the book is going to speak to us about. It's showing us a diagram of the lower levels of development. They are referred to as inanimate, vegetative, animate, and then the human level, which is called the speaking level. So what we're going to understand when we're observing nature and the organic things around us is that there are desires that we develop along this course of desires as a physical person, as a human being, as a physical Adam. But every one of the desires that we are moving along is going to leave us unfulfilled and desiring something greater. And so we will go from a first desire of just wanting food and reproducing and a family and shelter, and then we were going to progress to the next level of desires, which is going to encompass the desires below that, and we would be pursuing wealth, which is just more of what was below us at a level of desire. And then the next level that we're going to come to is the desire for power or valor, fame. And then we will come to the next level, which is the desire for knowledge. And every one of those levels is going to leave us with a lack, because what our purpose is to find the meaning of our life, which is that we want a connection with our Creator. And so it is at the end of all of these desires that the spiritual desire is going to arise in a person. And this is referred to and spoken about in the book of Ecclesiastes. If you take a little bit of time to read through Ecclesiastes, you will see that the king of Israel that is speaking goes through all of these lower desires, and he keeps saying they're futile, they're empty, they are like chasing the wind. And he is going to progress through each one of the desires: the food, the reveling, the wine, the women, building a house. Then he's going to move into wealth, accumulating the wealth. Then he's going to move into the winning the battles and the great valor of being a great king. And then finally he's going to end with studying and accumulating all of the knowledge. And he says it's all vanity. And at the very end, he sums it up and he says, what is the sum of all things? It's to fear, revere God, and to keep his commandments. This is what it means to be a human being. So you can see a progression of all of these lower level things to this place of what really being human is, this speaking level with the Creator. So our book is going to teach us a little bit more about how that comes about, how we are going to develop that. So it's going to tell us, first of all, that our patriarch Abraham was the first of us in our scripture to recognize that there was a unity in creation, that there was a unity in God that was expressed in the plurality that he saw all around him. And he was teaching this to other people. So this is why you'll so often see in Kabbalistic books, they're referring to Abraham, and telling us that he was the first one that began to teach this. So when you have these earthly desires, in the stages that we mentioned, there's 4 levels of them. These are called the heart. Collectively, they are known as the heart. So at the end of all of the development of the human desires, or the earthly desires, this spiritual seed is going to arise, and this is called the point in the heart. And this is called Israel, and it comes from two Hebrew words, Yasher, El, which means straight to God. So it is after this development of desires and a person has gone through them, that this spiritual seed is arising in a person that is called Israel, and this desire to understand the purpose of their life, which is the connection to the Creator. So if we go a little bit further into our book in chapter 2, we're being told that the physical development can be compared to a child. When a child is developing, that we're going to raise them up in learning by increasing the vocabulary around them, exposing them to more and more experiences, which helps them to grow. And so as spiritual children, as we're learning how to spiritually develop, we need to have a teacher. We need to have spiritual teachers that are helping us to reach the next level of what is developing spiritually inside of us. And this is what the book of Zohar is intended to do. It is going to change our perception. It is going to take us from where we begin with this desire to receive for ourselves, which is known as our ego. And it is going to begin to help develop the quality of giving, which is like our Creator. Our Creator only bestows goodness upon the creation. So we're going to learn how to develop the quality of giving. And as we do, we're becoming more and more like our Creator. And so that's what this book is explaining, this process to us. And what we are wanting to achieve with the Creator is called equivalence of form. It's going to be explained a little bit later that the spiritual world doesn't move. You are close to something in the spiritual world, not by physical distance, but by how much alike you are to something. And you could see that in an example of an earthly friendship or an earthly relationship. I have really good friends who I know very well, have very close relationship with, but it's not based on physical proximity because they live very far away from me. It's based on what we share in common, our love of God, our love of the Hebrew scriptures, and those are the things that make us alike. And so this is the same in the spiritual realm. The more that we resemble our Creator, the closer we're going to be to Him. And that's what this process is to help us develop the qualities that are like Him, so that we can be close to Him and have that connection. The last part of our book, and we're wrapping up here, introduces us to a reading out of the book of Zohar, and it talks about something called letters. So if you are going to be coming to this highest level of development that is called the speaking level, this is where you're going to have to share a similar language with the Creator. This is how you're going to be communicating with God. So I'm just going to read a little bit from this last part of chapter 2. This is taken from the Zohar Vayikra, which is the portion the Lord called. And it says, "Ask for a letter from the Lord your God." Letters are forms by which we turn our will to receive, also known as our ego, into a similar form to the upper force, the Creator, which is the power of love and giving. So every letter is a new form of giving that we're going to build within ourselves. And so as each letter is coming to us, and we're going to be learning how to ask for this, and these are qualities of giving that are going to begin to change and transform our perception of the world and transform how we see it. If you are thinking differently, then you are going to be speaking differently, and how you speak affects the world because you have the power to create with your words. And this is why we opened up reading about wisdom being with God from the beginning of creation, because as we obtain this wisdom, we're going to be creating the same way, creating our world the same way that God does, seeing it as good, seeing everything as good, seeing all of the light that is coming to us, no longer being filtered through an ego that only wants for itself, but processing everything that is coming to us from this place of giving and bestowal that is like our Creator. So we're going to take those letters that we're learning, those qualities, and we're going to form them into words. And this is then how we're going to be having a conversation with the Creator. And this is what is called the speaking level that we're going to learn about further. And when we are listening, we are becoming a partner with our Creator in creation. And that will take us right back to what we started off with, which is that we are made in the image of God, which is Elohim, to be a creator like God. So I hope that helps you process a little bit of what we went through in the first 2 chapters. And we'll be talking some more about this, but that's it for this video. And I hope that you continue to read the book and that we have some great discussion about it. Have a great night. Thank you.